Hello, hello, hello. I want to take you back a few years and I want to talk about this excellent piece of polycarbonate technology from the old Nokia. This is the Nokia 1520. This beauty came out a number of years ago, and I actually had one a couple of years ago before I started doing this tech review stuff, and I really enjoyed it. And I don't know if anybody has been reading of late that there's been a few guys who have managed to port Windows 10, full Windows 10, onto the Microsoft Lumia 950 XL. And if they can do it with the XL, I'm sure they can do it with this beast as well, the 1520, which has an even bigger screen. I think it would be just crying for a porting. I know that they've still got some way to go, but they did have it working, and there's some videos on YouTube which anybody can obviously have a wee look at. So I said to myself, why don't I get a Nokia 1520 again and give it some love and a wee review, and this is what I'm doing now. This one, I specifically looked for this one because it came pre-installed with Windows 10 Mobile, because Windows 8, there's just a lot of apps now, well, specifically Facebook, which and a couple of other apps are just not working anymore. Now, everybody knows that Windows 10 Mobile, Windows Mobile is dead. Even some of the apps now are not even going to be supported, which is a real shame. WhatsApp is the kind of the most important one. They said that by the end of December this year, they're not going to be supporting it. And I'm sure that there'll be some intelligent person out there who will be able to work out how to still use WhatsApp on Windows 10 Mobile. So I'm hopeful, because really the experience that I've had with the Windows 10 on this has been really good. Now, I'm not saying it's totally smooth as smooth can be, but really for a phone of this age, and it came out, let me just check on GSM Arena what year it came out, because I don't remember. Let me see. Oh my god, it came announced 2013, so 2013, 2014 this came out, and I remember seeing it here in Jarir and thinking that it just looked really cool. I can't remember which phone I was having at the time, but I just really liked it. Then, as I say, I bought one a couple of years ago, which I used and enjoyed the experience. And since I read about the porting of the Windows 10 full, I thought maybe if somebody does it, I can try. I'm not scared to try these kind of things. So let's see how it goes. So what have I been using this for recently, and what apps have I been using? Okay, well, so the Facebook app is pretty crap, to be honest with you. It still works, but it's not that good. The one that I've been using, which I think is really good, is called Air, which is this one here, and it's free, and it's working pretty decently. I'm not saying it as fast as anything, but it's working pretty decently. And you can also check and answer your messages on this from Messenger, because there is no Messenger app anymore that I could find, and there's no third-party app. So the Air, for me, is pretty decent. There's no Gmail app, but I signed in on the browser, and I just pinned that to the start, so that opens up my Gmail straight away. And the other one, oh look, that's really it. I don't use Skype that often. WhatsApp is important, but that's not one that I'm really using lots of, but I do need it. Now the other one that I was looking to check out to see if there was another like media player, a music player, and to be honest with you, Groove Music, which is Windows app, which is this one, is really pretty decent. So I don't really see the need to change for that. I think the sound, I've been using it with my AirPods. It's really good. I plugged in my Marshall wired earphones, and I think the sound is incredibly good. That's just me. My ears could be damaged from years of very loud playing music very loud, but that's just me. Now this had the Snapdragon, I think 800 with 2 GB of RAM, and this one is the 16 GB version, which comes with expandable storage. So this could really be a number of things to many people. It's a tablet. I mean, it's 6 inches. It's pretty big, as you can see with my hand here. The screen is 1080 LCD, and it's got that Nokia clear something. I can't remember what it's called, clear black or something. It's really nice. This can be an internet device. I've been using it to. There's an app called Frida. So it's not Frida, that's Infinity for Reddit, so I use that for Reddit. But for the Frida app, which is an ebook app, this turns into a really very decent ebook reader. So all of us who are, and I have a dedicated ebook reader, but I mean, this is pretty good, especially for having, say, at work, if you wanted to have some manuals or work-specific books. I downloaded the CHM reader because I have a number of CHM filed books, and it works pretty decently. It's not absolutely brilliant, but it works pretty decently. What else can I tell you about this? You can have VLC still working, Netflix still working. There's a couple of decent PDF. I use the Exodo one. Now, the YouTube, well, it never was a very good YouTube app, but there's a couple of apps and you can see which ones are suit your need. But for the most part, I can look at YouTube via the browser, which is of course internet. It's not Internet Explorer. I think it's Edge actually. There are a couple of other browsers in the marketplace, which is still got a lot of apps on it. Now, I'm not saying that they're all really great apps, but they've still got a number of apps, and really for the most part your core apps, other than say the WhatsApp, which as I said will be disappearing by the end of December. I mean, your core apps, you could really still get away with this for your day-to-day running. Now, I've used it for a week and I really did not miss much at all. There was just a couple of things that I had to do on my iPhone, but for the most part everything else was fine. And you have movies on this. You can download your movies on an SD card, all your music files, your ebooks, whatever it is, and really you've got a pretty powerful media device in your hand. And I still think that this is a viable proposition for those of us who were fans of the later stage of Nokia. And I'll start my very short Microsoft Windows 10 mobile rant now. Is that, you know, for a company who they could not make Windows 10 mobile a viable operating system is just beyond belief. It had so many excellent things. Okay, the lack of apps, but that just needed some support. It's just crazy that they could not make this get some market stake in the mobile field. Many people really still are big fans of Windows Mobile, and if I look back on some of the Nokia and Windows Mobile phones that I have reviewed, and I've reviewed quite a few, maybe 4 or 5, maybe more than that, they all get a good amount of views on them. I'm always really happy. They get in the thousands. For the most part, they get in the thousands of people. So there's people still interested in Windows Mobile. Now this beast is a wee bit slippery. It's all polycarbonate kind of unibody, and it is a real, yeah, well, you can see it's kind of rectangle, and it's quite industrial, but there's something really cool about it. The screen is excellent, and is brilliant for watching any kind of TV on. The camera is a 20 megapixel camera, and the battery is a 3400 mAh, and the battery on this, which was an unlocked AT&T version, the battery on this is really very, very decent. This came from eBay, and all in all was just over about $100 with shipping, etc. So I mean, I was happy with it. There's not a mark on the screen. The body seems pretty clean to me. There might be some, I've noticed when there's a white page, there might be some LCD burn-in that you can kind of see a shadow, but there's nothing much, and you don't see anything when it's on this kind of home screen. So for Windows 10 mobile, I thought I'd got a really good deal. Of course, you have all the Windows or Microsoft apps like OneNote and all the Office apps for Word and PowerPoint, etc. So they seem to be working relatively well, and I just haven't noticed it being really, really slow. It's occasionally you will feel there's a slight shudder, or maybe when you're scrolling through the browser you might notice something, but for the people who are going to be looking at adding this to their collection or buying it, you know, we know what we're in for, and we're willing to sacrifice some performance when it still works really good. Now all the Lumia camera apps and Creative Studio Cinemagraph and stuff like that, they're still available. I think the camera on it is still really pretty decent. Now let me see, did I have any photos? I took some recently of, let me show you, a birthday cake, and yeah, it's not a birthday cake, it was a cake celebrating one of my colleagues going to be delivering, and really the camera is pretty decent. The video, I really like it. Kind of got this kind of flat look to it that gives it a bit of a more cinema style, and it's recorded, I think, all at 1080. I'm not sure if it goes up any higher than that, but for me 1080 is more than enough, because 4K or anything above 1080, the files are just, you know, too unmanageable. So again, this could be your go-to video device as well. I mean, it's still got a lot of potential for everyday usage, and I just wanted to share it with everybody and share my experience, because I've just really enjoyed using it. Now, what it has made me kind of consider, now that I'm reading about this Windows 10, proper Windows 10 porting, is maybe look at getting a 950 XL. I had the 950 before, Microsoft Lumia 950, and I really liked it. It's a great camera, and I just really liked it. And if these apps I can still use on, of course I can still use it on the 950 XL. It's cool, and it could be my backup phone, it could be my e-reader. The 950 XL has a slightly smaller screen, but no problem, still good for a 5.7 inch screen, is still good as for an e-reader. So I'm kind of considering this, and I may end up selling this on to somebody who's equally keen to have a classic Nokia phone that is still working probably as well as it did the day that it came out of wherever it came out of, whatever factory it came out of. I did test Cortana a few times on this, and it works really well, and even with the recording, the microphone or the sound of the recordings, I thought was pretty decent. It's really got a lot going for it. those of you out there who are either running Android or running iPhone, they're of course it's the app thing, and they're just maybe not the apps that you really need on a daily basis, and of course I understand that, but if I look on both my Android devices and my wife keeps complaining about the amount of apps that are on my iPhone, and I can be honest with you, there's very few of them that I use. I tend to just stick to a few social media ones, LinkedIn on, and there is a third-party LinkedIn app here, which is fine. It's not brilliant, but it's more than serviceable. But she's right. I have got so many apps on my iPhone that there's very few of them that I really use. The other one that I like on any device, excuse me, is Share It now, which is this one here, and it works between iOS and Android. This is a Wi-Fi sharing over network device, so you can share files. I use this for nearly every device that I have, be it tablet, Android TV box. I have NVIDIA Shield TV gaming box, everything, because it's just really handy to have, and it's very, very simple to kind of share between all of these devices and operating systems. So Share It is still working, which is really good. And call quality, of course it is a phone after all, yeah, it's fine. It's loud, clear enough for me. It may not be up there with the fancy devices that we're all running now, but for the most part nobody's going to be unhappy about it. Of course it has a flash there. The speakers it's not bad, okay. I mean, it gets a wee bit of a distortion once you increase the volume, but most of the time I'm having it on the earphones or my AirPods, and it paired easily with my Apple AirPods. No problems with that. It's paired with an external Bluetooth speaker as well, no problems at all. Everything is just working as it should, and I've just been really happy at using it. And it just kind of makes me a wee bit sad that we don't have the opportunity to enjoy Windows 10 Mobile any longer. The company are not going to support it, although I'm sure there'll still be some updates, and there was a lot of updates when I turned this on. There was a lot of updates that when I connected to the Wi-Fi, so that was another decent thing. So I'm sure there'll be at least a year or two more of updates, and it's still usable. It just works, and wouldn't it be great if somebody put Android on this? I mean, I did Google it, and there's some articles, excuse me, here and there. I had a late night last night, but wouldn't it be great if you had Android on this? It'd be absolutely brilliant. You could get Android on some of the late Nokia Windows mobiles, or the Lumia Microsoft ones. Be great. I'm sure there's some smart people out there who could do that. So anything else that I have to say? Well, no, I think I've really said everything that I wanted to say. This is just a kind of fan of the whole experience, and I got into Nokia very late, too late probably, but this is just a classic phone, and it's a shame that it didn't last too long before the Microsoft takeover and all that debacle, which who knows, HMD Global that are Nokia now, you never know, perhaps they will kind of release an updated version with Android of the 1520, the 1020. I know they've got some really good camera phones, but who knows. So anyway, that was just my wee piece on the Nokia 1520 with Windows 10 Mobile. Thanks, bye.